this episode I'm going to switch things up a bit and I'm going to sort out the front of the van by doing the headlights and the indicators. So try and get them refurbished, fixed and working. I've got them all programmed in the PMU, so it's really just a case of going through, replacing the screws, the springs and all that kind of crap. Clean up the headlight buckets, give them a coat of paint, and then the indicators, a bit more work to do on the indicators. Basically you've got to build them. So we'll get the headlights out and then we'll have a look what we're dealing with. Right, so I got them out of the van. Now, this one that was the driver's side, now the passenger side, that's all sort of a bit loose and funky. Thankfully neither bucket are like rusted out or anything. You see a lot that are rusted, then you've got to fix the bucket, rust repairs, piss around. But these seem pretty good. So I don't really know what's going on with that one, so the other one is still intact, so I'm going to carefully pull that one apart and see what's going on, see what this one is actually missing. On a side note, this camera, you turn it on and it's like, oh, there's a picture, and you hit record and it like zooms right in, so you set it all up and then you go, hey, and then yeah, pain in the ass. Anyway, yeah, we're a bit of a dig around. Looks like there's a little springy boy there that's holding that piece on. So that's the little spring there that was holding it on, and then it sort of just clips under those two, so I guess the spring holds it and then you wind these in and out to do your height and left right, I guess. So random screw, don't know what that does. That spring is actually riveted in there. So that might require a bit of a workaround. I think what I'm going to do is, these little adjusters you see there, they're riveted in as well. I think I'm just going to drill them rivets out, get rid of them, that way I'll clean it up. And these little adjuster things are seized solid, so they're going to need a bit of soaking in some love juice. Yeah, do that, we'll drill all them out and then we'll give them a bit of a clean up. Alright, we've just been over it with a combination of a few different little wire wheelie jobbies on the old drill. Got them cleaned up a bit. Now, see there's a bit of like, surface rustage on there, so pretty much just going to hit these with some Rain-X, which is what I sort of use the rust converter on the van. And then they'll be good to paint and done. So really, with the headlights, I think the hardest bit is going to be finding these springs. Obviously I need two because this one is crunchy. That, and then these little adjusty boys go through like a little plastic jobby and they are all seized. Two of them just broke. So I think probably just going to draw them up on Infusion and 3D print 4 new ones of them. And then try and clean these little bolts up. As far as headlights go, it should be a pretty straightforward process, I think. Other than those springs, so we'll have to do a bit of Googling, see if we can find them. So we'll get that all Rain-X'd up and then we'll cut back and we'll start looking at these indicators, which are a bit more involved. Alright, well it is Friday night. So these have been in there since yesterday. They come up pretty good with that rust converter, so now throw a lick of paint on them, a lick of paint on that, and then wait for that to dry. Then I'll rivet those other pieces back on. So these little bits that broke, I jumped on the Fusion and drew these ones up. So nice new ones of them. They're a funky little spring. Found them online from America, but they're like $9 a pair and $70 to $80 freight. So I ain't paying that. So I went to Bunnings before work this morning, grabbed a couple of different types of springs. So pretty sure we should have butcher these up and get these working. Hopefully. I probably won't actually end up riveting them. I'll probably bend that around and just put a bolt with a washer and a nut on the other side, like a lock nut. Otherwise, yeah, they should work fine. So yeah, we'll throw some paint on these and then we'll cut back and we'll start looking at these indicators because they're going to need a bit of 3D printing and a bit of magic. Okay, well, we've been jamming away. I've got one done and all riveted back together. I didn't take any photos, which made that process harder. So basically, it's got these little aluminium rivets. Steel ones probably would be better, but this is what I have. Put the rivet, that goes on the rivet head, little bucket behind it. Give it a few whack-a-dacks. Those rivets probably are a smidge too long. Maybe the job of that is not coming off, I feel. So rivet the other one on, rivet the spring on, and then we can assemble this headlight. Alrighty, and just like that we have headlights again. Starting to look more like a van. So they're all in there nice and solid. It's the first time since I've owned the van that both headlights have been in there. Looking good. Right, so now the headlights are done, which is pretty awesome. They're back in the van. We'll need a bit of tweaking once we get them powered up. So the next mission now is indicators. So I've been down a few different paths with indicators. First ones I got were these ones. So they're the same as what I've got on the back of the van for the reverse lights. They work alright on the back because of the XP tail lights, and they sort of pop out in that and look alright there. But on the front, when you put them there, they're very small. They require a bit more modifications to the front of the van to actually get them to work. And they just kind of, that pointy stuff just doesn't, I don't like it. So I scrapped that idea. Now, these are the original ones. So they're all cracked and munted. So I went on a mission to see if I could just find lenses, which I couldn't really seem to find anything, and then I did. So I think it's like a 3-inch lens, so I found these ones which are 3 inches, but they're slightly different. They don't mount on the outside, they mount in the middle, so same thing, I'd have to fill the holes in the front of the van and then drill new holes to actually mount these. Plus these are just plastic garbage. So, one thing I did discover though is the lens themselves is the right size, so that fits into the old housing really spot on with the rubber gasket and everything in there. Only difference is it's got 3 mounting screws, not 4. And the original light bulb had like 2 little contacts. So maybe it was like a park light indicator light combo, not sure. So basically that little insulator thing there jumped into Fusion and printed up some new little ones with only 1 hole. So that will go onto the bottom there. Boop, boop. And then same trip to Bunnings, I got a spring that I can chop. So that'll go under there, and then contact on the light bulb, and the actual housing is the earth back to the van, which is pretty handy. You only have to run 1 wire to the indicator. So got the 3D printer jamming away at the moment. I took a top down and a side on view of the housing, And originally I was going to make some dams up and then fill it with some sort of epoxy or something and then drill and tap into it. And then I figured, well, I'll take a couple of photos and then just print some parts out and then glue them in. So it should actually be a fairly straightforward process of actually getting these to work. Well, hot off the press, got my little blocks there. So, one of the benefits of like using the photos and actually drawing it up is you can see underneath it's all notched out, and then where two of the screws have got to go is like these two little nubs there, so those little notches, that allows that to slide over that little notch, which is good. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw these into the lens and then put the glue on and then just let them sit, and with any luck we don't glue the lens on. Well, little blocks on the lens there. Now those little nubs that I spent all that time making those cutouts, well not time, just printed it in there, those nubs hit the screws, so I had to get rid of them anyway, but never mind. So I've been through, obviously ground those nubs off, roughed up that area. So my plan is I'm going to put some glue on here, a little bit on these bits, and then should be able to put them together somehow. And that goes on, and then leave it fully assembled. It takes say 2 hours to set, an initial bond of 8 hours, so I can put them together like that, fully assembled, and then I can put them in the van and we should be able to test them out, and the blocks and everything shouldn't move anywhere, and then really I don't need to pull these apart for months, or potentially ever, really. So that's the plan. We'll get them glued in and then we'll chuck them in the van. There is a risk of gluing the screw in. Some grease on the screws and re-screw them in so that if any glue does get on the screw it won't actually bond to it. I think that's a good idea. So we'll do that and we'll get them screwed in, and I mean that's not even screwed in, just with those blocks, that's just sitting there. So pretty good fit, and I'm stoked to be able to use these original surrounds. It's just going to look way better on the van. Alright, well it has been a couple of hours, so that's initial bonding time, and as you've seen they were holding there by themselves anyway, so should be good enough to go from that to that. So when you get them on the van, it's going to be pretty cool actually having all the lights on the front, and then I have these programmed into the PDM as well, so once we get them in, we'll get the PDM over, hook it up to the battery and the laptop, and we should be able to go blink, 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 blink and turn the lights on, and I would say that's probably the first time this thing would have had working lights. I don't know, 20 years or so maybe, I don't know how long it sat in the field over in Texas for. But pretty cool. We'll get these on and then I'll wire it all up and we'll cut back. Well, we've been jamming away, got the indicators in. Looking pretty sweet with the lights in there, I must say. So I've got the wires going to the indicators at the moment, I've got the PDM in there, got the laptop hooked up, so it should work. I haven't done the headlights yet, that's a bit more of a mission. I've got it all programmed in the PMU, I've just got to run some wires, but for now we'll just do a quick test on the indicators and then I'll jump in and get the headlights wired up. So we'll go for Yeah, righty. Plenty bright enough. That's real bright actually. Right. And now we'll try the hazards. Yeah. Not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting it to be that bright. Definitely not going to miss where I want to turn, that's for sure. I'll nut out these headlights and we'll cut back. Alright, we'll be jamming away. I'm pretty sure I've got the headlights wired up correctly. I just turned the PMU on, nothing went bang. So that's a good sign straight up. So now I'm just going to flick a switch, we'll either get low or higher. Let's see how we go. I'm going to aim for low. Alright, so that's saying that's low, so I'll flick it to high. Seemed pretty bright for low, to be honest. I think that's low. I'm not gonna lie, I'm struggling to tell which is which here. Pretty hard to tell from inside during the day with all the lights, to be honest. I'll just quickly turn the lights off and see if I can work out what's going on. Right, well that's saying that's high beam. I'm pretty sure that is just slightly higher. Doesn't seem to be a massive difference in light output though, to be honest. Like a little light bar thing down in here maybe, for a bit of night driving. So inside the van looks pretty scary. There is wires and crap going everywhere. For quite some time yet. That's just another little job ticked off the list. It's just good to have it done and in the van, finished, which is pretty awesome. I've still got to sort out the rear tail lights, got to work out the wiring harness and stuff in them. There's like no wiring at all, so I've got to see if I can buy an old harness or actually just pull them out and have a look, see what globes and stuff they actually need. And then we'll see if we can get them wired up. Pretty much as soon as I get this thing running, I want to take it for a drive. Windows, no windows, I don't even care if it's got no floor. As soon as it starts, I want to be able to drive it. So having indicators, you know, means I can go out on the road and burn around and people will know where I'm going and won't crash into me. Which is a pretty handy deal. I say, I'm still pretty surprised on how bright those indicators are. I was not expecting them to be that bright at all. So, as always, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.